Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a cat owner, chances are you start your day to that familiar sound of kibble hitting a ceramic bowl. It's easy, right? It's cheap, and your cat seems to absolutely love it. But today, we're unpacking a fascinating and honestly kind of eye-opening analysis that asks a really critical question. What is actually happening inside your feline friend after they take a bite? The hidden biological effects that the source material uncovers might actually shock you. So let's dive right into that central mystery. We hear that familiar crunch, they lick their lips, and everything looks perfectly fine on the outside. But beneath the surface, there's a really complex, almost invisible biological reaction taking place the exact moment that dry food hits their stomach. It turns out, according to the analysis, that simple morning routine triggers a whole chain of events that's completely at odds with how a cat is actually built. It really comes down to a trade-off that most well-meaning owners don't even know they're making. Kibble is undeniably convenient, and yeah, it's budget-friendly for us. But the source points out that we're essentially trading that easy meal for a hidden biological cost. That daily scoop quietly initiates internal changes that, over time, could actually cut years off a cat's life without us even noticing. Section 1. The silent dehydration problem. To understand this first major issue, we have to look at evolutionary biology. Cats originally evolved in desert environments. Their bodies are literally built to get their water from their food, absorbing about 70 to 80% of their daily moisture directly from the fresh prey they catch. Now, compare that natural design to a bowl of dry kibble, which offers a mere 10% moisture. That is a massive, incredibly unnatural gap. Now, you might be thinking, well, they'll just drink more water from their bowl to make up for it, right? But research from the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery proves otherwise. Cats simply lack the thirst drive to compensate for that severe moisture deficit. They don't complain, they don't act thirsty, but day after day they exist in this silent, low-grade state of dehydration. Their urine hyperconcentrates, their skin loses elasticity, and their internal organs just silently bear the burden. Section 2. Carbs, spikes, and weight. The root of this clash comes down to a fundamental biological fact. Cats are obligate carnivores. Think of their internal engine like a high-performance sports car that only runs on premium fuel. And in this case, that fuel is strict protein and animal fat. Carbohydrates are basically like putting cheap diesel in that sports car. It was quite literally never part of their natural biological plan to process them. And when you compare a natural feline diet to kibble, the discrepancy is absolutely staggering. In the wild, a cat's meal contains less than 2% carbohydrates. But if you flip over almost any bag of dry food at the grocery store, you'll see carb levels sitting anywhere from 30 to 50%. We're introducing a heavy, carb-loaded fuel source that their biological machinery simply isn't equipped to handle. This biological mismatch triggers a vicious daily cycle. Every single time they eat a bowl of high-carb kibble, their blood sugar unnaturally spikes. To cope with that, their pancreas has to work in overdrive, pumping out emergency insulin to manage a sugar load it was never designed for. The excess carbs get converted straight into fat storage. And according to veterinary research, these daily insulin roller coasters dramatically increase the risk of type 2 diabetes over time. Naturally, all those converted carbs lead to significant weight gain. And this is made so much worse by our habit of free feeding. When you leave the all-you-can-eat buffet open 24/7, cats don't just eat because they're hungry. They eat because they're bored or stressed or just because it's a routine. Kind of like us snacking in front of the open fridge at midnight. But this leaves well-meaning owners in a tragic catch-22. The extra weight from the kibble is incredibly dangerous, but you can't just put a cat on a sudden crash diet to fix it. Forcing a feline to lose weight too quickly can trigger a rapid, fatal liver condition known as hepatic lipidosis. So you find yourself stuck between a rock and a hard place, and it all originates from a seemingly harmless bowl of dry food. Section 3. Addiction and dental myths. Have you ever tried to switch your cat to a healthy wet food only for them to completely turn their nose up at it? You might think they're just being a diva, but the analysis reveals they might actually be chemically hooked. Dry kibble on its own tastes essentially like cardboard, so manufacturers spray it with something called animal digest. It's a concentrated chemical flavor coating engineered from broken down animal tissues. It's not there for nutrition at all. It's there to make the food completely irresistible. And this addiction runs deep. Research from the British Journal of Nutrition found that these palatability coatings are the single biggest factor in a cat's food choice, completely overriding actual nutritional value. Because most cats are conditioned from kittenhood to only recognize this highly engineered flavor profile as food, transitioning them is incredibly tough. They aren't just being stubborn. Their brains literally do not register the new, healthy, uncoded food as something edible. Which brings us to one of the most widespread myths in the entire pet world. Does the crunching action of dry food actually clean a cat's teeth? We hear it all the time, right? From well-meaning friends, sometimes even from vets. It sounds totally logical. Crunching equals scraping. Well, the definitive research completely debunks this. A study in the Journal of Veterinary Dentistry found zero significant difference in dental disease between cats on wet diets versus those on dry diets. The reason is just simple mechanics. Normal kibble just shatters on impact, or the cat swallows it whole. It doesn't sink in and scrape the gum line where plaque actually forms. Relying on kibble to clean a cat's teeth is honestly exactly like eating crunchy pretzels to clean human teeth. It just doesn't work. In fact, it might be actively making their dental health worse. Remember those heavy carbohydrates we talked about earlier? Dry food is absolutely loaded with starch. When they eat, that starch breaks down into a sticky, sugary residue that clings right to their teeth. This residue directly feeds the bacteria responsible for plaque and tartar buildup. So the very food owners think is cleaning the mouth is actually laying down a sugary trap. Section 4. The Quiet Kidney Crisis. This is where the story of chronic dehydration finally catches up, and the numbers here are truly staggering. Because a cat on dry food is constantly dehydrated, their kidneys are forced to work overtime, hyper-concentrating urine day in and day out. Kidney tissue doesn't regenerate, and cats hide their pain incredibly well. The heartbreaking reality is that a cat can quietly lose up to 75% of their kidney function before they show any outward signs of sickness. And often, this happens before standard blood work even catches it. It's a mechanism of damage control, not early detection. This constant invisible background damage is exactly why chronic kidney disease, not cancer, not heart disease, is the #1 primary killer of older cats. It's basically a mechanical failure built up over a lifetime. Day after day, year after year, those tiny kidneys are pushed way past their natural biological limits, just trying to conserve whatever little water they have. But it's not all doom and gloom. The data actually gives us a clear path forward. Research draws a direct, undeniable line between what's in the bowl and long-term kidney health. Studies from the American Veterinary Medical Association show that cats fed moisture-rich, species-appropriate diets maintain significantly better kidney values as they age compared to those on dry-only diets. A simple change in moisture literally changes everything. This analysis leaves us with an incredibly empowering yet somewhat sobering realization. While the silent damage of a dry food diet is severe, this is one of the very few health factors we have absolute total control over. You can't control their genetics, and you certainly can't stop the clock. But the power to change your cat's lifespan rests entirely in what you choose to pour into their bowl tomorrow morning. Will you keep settling for the illusion of convenience, or will you take control of the bowl to give them those extra years? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. See you next time.